Vodom Rabbi Lezer. Omid Odom La Mukta Erev Shvius. A person stands by the location where the storage location. Erev Shvius in the 6th year. Erev the sabbatical year. Erev Shabbos Shvius. Erev Shabbos during the sabbatical. Omer Mikaran Yochel L'Mochar. From here I will take tomorrow. Now, so Rashi explains, Maser that you give to the Levi is not applicable during Shvius. Why? Because why does the Levi receive Meiser? Because the Pasuk says, Ke'en lo chelek v'nachal imoch. Right? The reason why the Levi receives Meiser, because he has no share in the land. But since all the produce of Shemitah is Hefker, is ownerless, so he has no lesser share than anybody else. Therefore, the Yisrael, whoever takes the produce, doesn't have to give the Meiser. Because the Levi has an equal share. Normally he doesn't have, so you have to give him the Meiser. But during Shvius, he has, so therefore you don't give him Meiser. Okay? No, Truma not. Truma is, but it only says that about the Levi. But if Truma you have to give regardless, that you give to the Kohen. Okay? Kohen always takes Truma. Kohen is Tevel. Let's say he rents land from Yisrael. He has produce. He has, of course, he could keep the Truma. Once he does, he keeps it for himself. But he has to have Hafrosh's Truma. Okay? He has to separate, but then he keeps it himself. So, he's Omer al Muktzah Erev Shabbos of Shvius Omer Mikani Notel Macham Omrim Achi Yirshom. It's not enough to say, to identify it verbally or visually. You have to do an action. Yom Mikan Vatkan, from here to there. Okay? So what's the machlokas? According to the Rebbe Lezer, it's enough to say, from here I will take tomorrow. It's more than very, although he didn't identify what it's going to be. We had earlier, there's a concept of Breira. What I will take tomorrow will be the Truma. But when he says it, he doesn't know what he's going to take. But whatever I will take, that it should be. But if you hold aim Breira, that when you identify something, it has to be identified immediately what it is, so therefore it's not valid. So therefore the Chum say, Achi Yirshom, you have to identify what's going to be tomorrow. Okay? Tanan Hosam, Tinoko Shetomnu Tainim Erev Shabbos. Children, they put away Tainim Erev Shabbos, figs, Vishochu V'lo Yisru, and they forgot about it, and they didn't take Meiser. Okay, they hid away Tainim, and then they forgot. V'lo Yisru, meaning the halacha is that you have to. So Rashi explains normally something which is not nigmar melacha, something which is not fully processed, you're permitted on a Torah level to eat as much as you want of it. You go on the field and you pick apples or grapes or whatever, you can eat as much as you want, because it hasn't been harvested to be brought in. Once you harvest and bring it in, and you bring it to it's called Rias Pnei Abayis, it sees the location where you're going to store it, then it takes on all the obligation, has to be tithed. Rabbinically, if you want to eat something in a substantial amount of the food, even if it's not fully processed, you're not permitted. You can only eat achilas arai, not achilas keva. Right? Let's say you go to a vineyard. You want to eat grapes off the vine. You can eat them even if they're ripened, without taking truma, mice, and nothing. But if you fill up a basket, you want to eat a basket of grapes, then rabbinically you have to tithe it, because it's substantial. Now, Shabbos, the pasuk says, "V'karosel Shabbos onig." Whatever we eat on Shabbos is onig. So therefore, even a minuscule amount of food, it has special value. Therefore, even if it's not achilas arai has the status of achilas keva. It's like something substantial. Okay. So if it would be Shabbos, you can't eat it if it's not tithed, even though it's a small amount of food. During the week you'd be permitted, but because of its value on Shabbos, because it's own egg, you cannot eat it. Okay, so these children, they hid away figs which weren't tithed. It wasn't tithed. Motzei Shabbos lo yochlu elkin yisro. Motzei Shabbos, you cannot eat it unless you take mice, even though it's a small amount, because since this food on Shabbos, if you would have eaten it, it would have been considered something, the equivalent of something substantial. So Motzei Shabbos, you're not permitted to eat it, although it's a small amount, and Motzei Shabbos is not oneg any longer, right? It's after Shabbos. But since that food item, that fruit, required tithing, So now Motzei Shabbos comes, its status doesn't change. You understand? Once it assumes the status that it has to be tied, it has to be tied even though at this moment the reason originally doesn't apply any longer. Okay? So let's take a look at Rashi. Tinok shetomnu teinin basodeh o begino. Either they hid in the field or in the garden. Lachil Shabbos, it was put away specifically to be eaten on Shabbos. V'shochu v'lo yisru. And they forgot to tithe it. Lo yochlu avagav dekaim le'nehatev mischai b'maiser lo'ochlo achilas arai. Even though we said if you don't eat something substantial, it's achilas arai achi yiro pnei abayis, until it's ha'opnei chotzer. B'mtzi perchas opolim achilas Shabbos chashuvo. Since the eating of Shabbos has special value, v'aroi shelo hari keva. So eating a less is the equivalent to eating something substantial. Hari hutmenu l'achilas Shabbos. When they were set aside these figs in the field or in the garden, it was for Shabbos, for the Shabbos meal. V'hukvu, therefore it was already set in place that these figs have to be tithed. So therefore, even though Motzei Shabbos comes now, but once the obligation to tithe came upon them, now even Motzei Shabbos, they have to be tithed. So what does it say? Children, an adult put it away for Shabbos, because you would think the designation of a child has no value, because they're children. That if they do something, even though a child's actions have no value, but if their intent is obvious through their behavior, we value it. Okay? 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 Okay. No. You can't. The food that you picked, you detached it, but you didn't bring it in. You didn't bring it in.
It's out in the field.
It's still out in the field, but you set it aside to be eaten for Shabbos, and then you forgot it. You didn't eat it.
When Shabbos comes, you can't eat from that pile anymore.
Unless, even though it's not something substantial. It's not a substantial amount. If he would have done the same thing during the week, he could have eaten it without tithing it. But because it was designated for Shabbos, it took on that special value. Now it has an obligation to tithe. Now Motzei Shabbos, they forgot to eat it. But let's say it would be leftovers. Let's say he made 2 piles. He would eat pile B if he finishes pile A. They didn't eat pile B. And now Motzei Shabbos comes. So if it would be just a Motzei Shabbos designation, with no problem, you eat it without tithing. But because it was originally meant to be eaten on Shabbos, it takes on that special value. Once it has that obligation, the obligation doesn't go away. That's what it's saying. Okay? Hamavir ta'eni b'chatzero liktzos bonov ubnei beis liktzos. Person brings figs and dates into his courtyard. Liktzos means that he should dry because you turn them into pressed figs. Bonov bnei beis ochlim man arai upturin and the potter. They could eat arai because again it's not nigma mlocha. Because since it was meant to be dried, so before they're dried, it's still what? It's not nigma mlocha. It's not fully processed. The only time bringing it into the silo or to the house does it become obligated. That's only if it's fully processed. But since over here, when he brought the figs into the courtyard, it was meant to be cut that all the juices should ooze out to dry to make them to pressed figs. So even though you brought it to the front of the house, it doesn't obligate you because you has to meet two criteria: fully processed and bringing it for storage. Okay? Shabbos mashtikva muktzah lemaiser v'davshali malachto. See, the first case we quoted was they were figs. They were meant to be eaten as figs. They were set aside for eating. So therefore, we say Shabbos, Koras Shabbos oneg, it brings it to that level. Even though it didn't have what we call Riyas Pnei Abayis, it wasn't brought to the silo or to the storage location, because Shabbos has special value, but the item we're talking about is something which is fully processed. A fig, once it's picked, it was meant to eat as a fig, not to be dried. But now the question is, what about something which was not even left over? This fig was meant to be dried, so before it dries, he wants to eat it on Shabbos. Do we say Koros Shabbos oneg because it's oneg, even in the unintended manner, because he doesn't want to eat it this way. Could you eat some of it without tithing? That's the shayla. You had a question? Okay, Shabbos maush nikvav muktzah lemaiser, v'dov shaloning mamlachto. Miyamani came to chsiv v'korasa Shabbos oneg kobo. Do we say nevertheless, since you were eating it, that's called oneg, so that sets it to be special. I feel dov shaloning mamlachto. O dilma no, but dov shaloning mamlachto kobo. If it's something which is fully processed, then Shabbos the oneg that sets it as if less is more. However, dov shaloning mamlachto, but if it's not fully processed, lo kobo. Shabbos doesn't bring it to that special level. Omalei, so this question was asked to Rav Nachman. Omalei, so Rav Nachman answered, Shabbos kavas, Shabbos sets it to be special, whether it was fully processed, even not fully processed. If you want to eat, if it's designated for Shabbos, you're not permitted to eat it unless you tithe it first. Okay, that's the conclusion. Wow, no, no, that's what Rav Nachman answered Rava. The table, because the table is not right. Okay, so we should move the tables down. Move the tables down. More. It's really good here. It's good. Thank you. Okay. So now, he answered him, doesn't matter. So he asks, so Rava says to Rav Nachman, what are you saying? It's kovea. What's the halacha? You bring something which is unprocessed into the courtyard. Normally the courtyard, that caps it off. But that's only if you bring something that's fully processed. But something's not fully processed, you bring it into the chotzer, right? It's not, you don't have to tithe it. So he's asking, how do you know Shabbos is more than the courtyard? Just as the courtyard, if you bring something into the courtyard and it has been fully processed, you're permitted to eat without tithing. So the same thing, maybe Shabbos, even though since it's something which is not fully processed, if you eat it on Shabbos, maybe you're not obligated to tithe it. He's asking Rav Nach, how do you know? Maybe it's the equivalent of the chotzer, of the courtyard. Av Shabbos lo tikva dov shnigma malachto. Right? That's his question. He says it's a very lengthy, not oruch, there's something, an orderly study which was presented regarding this. Finished. It's already been determined and decided that regarding Shabbos, even if it's not nigma melacha, even though it's not fully processed because of Kor Shabbos oneg, it gives it that special value. Okay? Yeah. Further. The old Afen Nami Tanino, Omar Marzucha Bereda Rav Nachman, Marzucha the son of Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman who answered Rav this. He says, I have a Mishnah to support what my father said, that even if it's not Nigma Melocha, Shabbos brings it to that special level that you have to tithe it. I mean, Shabbos is more than the courtyard. Courtyard does not affect something that's not fully processed, but Shabbos does. V'od Omer Rabbi Lezer, Omid Odom ala Muktzah Erev Shabbos, our Mishnah. A person stands by the storage location Erev Shabbos, B'Shviyas. Time it is Shviyas. The reason why you don't have to take Meiser is why? Because the Shviyas. As I said, the Levi doesn't get his Meiser because he has an equal right to the produce as the regular Yisrael. The Labar Suriyu, Hobeshar Shnei Suah, Ochanami Deoser. But if it would be during any of the other years of the sabbatical cycle, not during the Shemitah year, you wouldn't be permitted. My time allowed me, why? But it's not fully processed, it's out in the field. Right? Lab Mishum the Shabbos Kova. Lo, shiny hosam came them mikanani notel. Since he said, from there I will take tomorrow, Kova le'eluya. Hear this? Saying the Chiddush. Meaning like this. If you're out in the field, you feel like eating something, you want to pick some grapes, you want to eat some, not a problem. But what about you say, that tomorrow I am designated to me my Shabbos meal. It's unrelated to Shabbos. It's because he designated, he says, he gave it that special value, that's why. But let's say he would come Shabbos, he'd find something which wasn't designated for anything, and it wasn't in Molocha, you wouldn't. Gemara says, he has a good question. It came, if you tell me the designation, designate, say, that's sufficient for me. That gives it special value, so what does Mishnah say? It was Erev Shabbos on Shvius. That's the Chiddush. He wants to tell me that Tevel is Muchan for Shabbos. Meaning, Tevel you can't eat. It's Muktzah. What happens post facto? He goes and tithes it. Is he permitted to eat? Eat it after it's tithed. He's permitted. He's permitted to eat it. Tevel Muchan for Shabbos. Ova v'tikno. Because if he goes and he violates the rabbinic law and takes Truma Maisa, whatever it is, Mesukan. Okay. Okay. Someone asks, "V'lo Mosro, v'chozer, v'lo Mosro chozer." Yeah. It's terrific. What's the halacha? The person goes, he designates something, then afterwards is left over, and he puts it back into the pile. Right? It doesn't. No, we're talking about something which is not nigma melacha. Okay, something wasn't, and he says that I will eat, and the balance I'll put back. That's his mindset. Whatever's left, I'll put back. He says, wherever any food item where he doesn't know how much he's going to eat, he says what's left over I'm going to put back. It's not considered a designation. He doesn't have to tithe it. He's answering. The reason why the Mishnah he has to tithe is not because of Shabbos, because he designated. He says, from that I will eat tomorrow. But since Rebbe Lesser says that if initially your mindset is whatever's going to be left, I'm going to put back, that means what you're saying is not permanent. It's not fixed. Once it's not fixed, the designation is not a designation. So why? That has to do with brave already. He says, from this pile I will eat. He didn't say what, when, where. Since he spoke in generalities regarding that, and if anything should be left, he's going to put back, none of that pile is affected, and you don't have to tithe it. That pile is not, that's his question. So what do you see clearly? And yet it says in the Mishnah that you have to, if it wouldn't be Shviyas. So it must be, because even something, not Nigma Melocha, something that's not fully processed, Shabbos, brings it to that special level. So you see from the Mishnah that Shabbos is more than a courtyard. A courtyard does not affect something that's not Nigma Melocha, and Shabbos does. Right? So he says, no, it's being said specifically, I will take from there. Right? So he says, but if he's going to give it back, even if he said it, doesn't mean anything. Okay? If you have olives, an olive, when you pick it off the tree, they're like rocks. It's inedible. They put it in like a vat with water, with salt, a brine, and it sits there. And just by sitting, over time, they soften, they become edible. Let's say a person takes an olive out of that vat. Yes? He takes each one individually out of the vat, dips it in salt, and he can eat it, untithed. What about he dipped them, 10 of them in salt, and he let it pile up in front of him? Yeah? Instead of taking out, dipping, that's snacking. He took out 10, and he let them pile up in front of him. So then it says, Chayev. Rabbi Loza Omer min hamatan tor. Min hamatan tor chayev, min hamatan tor mi poter. If the vat was tor, wasn't contaminated, right, then you have to. But if it was contaminated poter, they should machzir samosa, because he's putting it back. 1 second. Yeah. It's terrific. You say it like this. You take out one after another. The vat is not contaminated. Listening, that's not contaminated. The person eating is contaminated. So when he takes the olives, dips in salt, each olive is contaminated. He has 10 piled up. It says before he eats it, he has to tithe. Why? Because he can't put it back in the vat. Because if he puts it back in the vat, he's going to contaminate everything in the vat. What about if he's tummy? The person's tummy. He's tummy. So if he touches the olives, they become tummy. So the 10 olives he has piled up in front of him, they're not going back. So for all intents and purposes, once they're removed, they're out. And he says, from this I'm going to eat, that gives it its special value. But if, let's say, the vat itself is tummy too, so if that's the case, even though we contaminated olives, we'll put them back. Once he puts them, that's inconsequential. It's not something substantial, he doesn't have to tithe. Okay? That's his question. If the matan is tor, then he's chayiv because he can't put it back. But if it's tomei, the vat, which means he could put it back, they should machzir as a moser. Why in the ratio do we say he's chayiv when the vat is tor, and if the vat is tomei, what do we say he's potter? The reason is because he can't return it. Sefer b'matan tomei v'gavra tomei. The sefer is speaking about where the person's tomei and the vat is tomei. The motzim hadalei. So they can put it back. That's the reason why it doesn't take on that status of what? Something substantial. Okay. Masnisin Nami, the Mishnah that Rabbi Lezer says it's Erev Shvius of the sabbatical year, Erev Shabbos of the sabbatical year. So Rabbi Lezer says, you could say, from here I'm taking tomorrow. You don't have to take Meiser. It's only potter for Meiser was in Shvius, but if not for that, even though it's not Nigma Melocha, right? Masnabi Mukzator, V'gavra Tomei, V'lo Motzodame, very simple. I v'li Muzor, V'omdin Hein. So he says, but he's asking, but factually, they're meant to put back. He can't because he has a problem. Yep. Second. Yeah. Hello, no notel el dibur ba'almahu. Kevin the chinotel in the efshe b'chazoro. Manjele chazor v'lo mikva lo efshe b'chazor nami. He says he's asking a question. The case of the Mishnah, he verbally said. He says, "From here, I'm taking tomorrow." He didn't contaminate it. So why when what's left over, why can't it be returned? See, if physically he would have taken it, is one thing. But the case of the Mishnah, the Mishnah Rabbi Lezer says it's Erev Shabbos Shemitah. From there, I will take tomorrow, from that pile, right? Whatever he takes, right? And then let's say he would want to change his mind. So we're saying the moment he says that, it's set. Why is it set? It's only words. Let's say he changes his mind. He's not taking anything tomorrow. So that means it's all back where it came from. You got it? Elam Rav Simi Barashi Rabbi Lezer Ko Amrit Rabbi Lezer Tamidom at Truma Kova Koshkim Shabbos. Rabbi Lezer holds that if you have something which is not Nigma Melocha or something that's not processed, you just take Truma, nothing more than that. Once you take Truma, you give it that status that you have to take everything that goes beyond Truma. So if sin, which others argue, and if that's Kova, Shabbos is definitely Kova. Did not perish a tormon actually morlach. The person tithes fruits, produce before it was fully processed. Releza oser. Lechem naroi. He says you're not permitted aroi. Chum ma'matirin. Chum say you permitted. Because it's still considered achil sarai. Toshma mi seifo. So we still haven't brought a proof. Chum omrim achi yishin. Chum say no, that the tithing is only valid. You have to identify what you're taking. V'yoma mikan v'kan, taking this particular time of the Erev Shabbos, b'shvius, la barasuriu, or b'shar shnei shavua, but it'll be during the other sabbatical years that you're obligated to take meiser. The asuri ninu, asuri, My timer, why? But if it's not nigma malachas, they're out in the field. Why? La mishum the Shabbos cover. It must be because of Shabbos. So you see that from the Mishnah that even something that's not nigma malachas, it's not fully processed. Shabbos, because it's across the Shabbos onik, takes on special value, and that's Moshe Shani Hosom. Came the Omikan Vatkan and he noted Lamoch Kovale. Since he identified very specifically which is going to be the Truma and the Meiser, Yochi Mayir Shabbos if Yichlon Nami. So same question they asked before in Rameir, according to Rabbi Lezer. So what does the Mishnah have to say that you have to take? It's Erev Shabbos. It's unrelated to Shabbos. This could even take place during the weekday. Designation alone gives that special value. Hokam Ashmalon the Tevel Muchan so Shabbos to Sif Shib over Tigno Much Besukam. Yeah. Yeah. Tosas explains before we said that if it's going to be returned, you could return it to the vat, that designation doesn't mean anything. That's only Rebbe Lezo. The Chamhod, that's a designation. Right before the Gemara says maybe the reason why you could eat without tithing was you could return it, and that's the Rebbe Lezo's position. That anything which is not etched in stone, it doesn't take on that special status. But now we're going to the Chacham. The Chacham argue even if it could be returned, designation alone is sufficient to give it special value, and you have to tithe it. Because it's not fully processed. It's the process of softening.
But it's not
Not chayiv.
like grapes, wine grapes. You harvest wine grapes.
Yeah, and
Like eating it before you get into wine.
does that have rias pnei abayis? No, you can't eat it. Because if it was brought in as wine grapes, so good. So you're chayiv. Once it's chayiv, it's a real why you brought it in. Those grapes have to be tithed.
No, it's brought in as wine grapes.
What?
If they're specifically for wine and they haven't
Well, it's processed. There's no processing.
No, if it's brought in for wine grapes and it's not made into wine grapes, and he decides to...
That's not nigma melacha. That's the case we're talking about. It's similar here. Right? That's not processed. You brought something not processed into the storage location.
The difference of the wine grapes is still edible.
We had before. No, but we had it earlier. If you take figs that you bring it into the courtyard, and you want to feed it for the children, and they haven't been dried yet, are you permitted to eat it? Same case. The figs as they are edible, but when they brought them into the courtyard, it was for drying. So therefore, we classify it as lo nigma melacha. What you're bringing into the courtyard is something which is not fully processed. Fully processed would be they're dried and now you're ready to press them. That's fully processed. Okay. Second. Okay. Or a minute. Or a minute. A person was eating a cluster of grapes, eshkol. What happened? He's eating the cluster. Now, if you have the grapes and you bring them into the courtyard, what's the halacha? It's considered rias pnei abayis. Yeah, you have to tithe. But as he's eating it, he's walking from the garden into the courtyard. So what does he have to? He has to stop eating in the middle. So he's eating something which he's permitted to eat as long as he doesn't eat a substantial amount. And the moment he crosses that threshold into the courtyard, what happens? That since he started to eat it in the garden, he could finish it up, even though he's in the courtyard now. Rabbi Shomer lo yigmar. How could he finish? The fact is, right now it has rias pnei abayis. It has rias. It saw the entrance. It went into the courtyard. Choshcha b'leilei Shabbos. Another case. Let's say he started to eat the grapes before Shabbos. All of a sudden, nightfall comes. Shabbos. Rabbi Lezer me yigmar. Rabbi Lezer says he can finish it. Rabbi Shomer lo yigmar. Rabbi Shua says he can't. So what do we see from there? Even though it's not nigma melacha. Hosam kiriktoni rem nosam Kitoni Taimo, the Reb Noson. Osam Kitoni Taimo. Reb Noson Omer Lo Omer Lo Kishomer Reb Lesi Yigmor B'chotz Yigmor. El Yotzi B'chutz L'chotz Yigmor. He doesn't mean that you can eat it in the courtyard. If you came to the courtyard, you have to go back to the garden. But if you stay in the courtyard, Lo Kishomer Aleph. Lo Kishomer Yigmor Shabbos Yigmor. Ela Mamtin Motzei Shabbos Yigmor. Ki also Ravin Omri Yochen Echad Shabbos Echad Truma V'Echad Chotze V'Echad Mekach Kulan Ein Koivin El B'Dovshning Melachto. You know what he says? Whether it's Shabbos, whether it's Truma, you take Truma. V'Echad Chotze or courtyard V'Echad Mekach, you purchase Kulan Ein Koivin El B'Dovshning Melachto. If it's something which was fully processed and you sell it, you bring it to a courtyard, the Shabbos, then it takes on that special value. But if it's not, it's okay. El Dovshin Melachton, yeah, Melachton. Shabbos, Lafuke Mid Hillel. We see Shabbos comes to exclude Hillel. Tanya, Hamami Peiros Mibokum Lamokom, Liktor. A person gathers fruits from a number of locations. Liktor. What's Liktor? Second. I understand. What do you mean to reap? I mean, he's gathering fruits to reap. What do you mean to reap? The reap that he brought. Well, the Kaddish Alei Mayom. The Kid Shalei Mayom. Okay. Amri the Hillel, Omer Yehuda, Hillel Atzmo, Oser. Yeah. It's only Hillel holds the not permitted. Yeah. Echad Shabbos, Echad Truma, V'Echad Chotze, V'Echad Mekach, Kulan Nikovin, El Levshin Melachton. Shabbos Lafuke, when it says Shabbos, is not Kovea, only Levshin Melachton. The Tanya, Hamamir Teres Mokum Mokum Liktor. Kiddush Lein Hayom, Amri the Hillel Atzmo Oser, Hillel himself Asers. Chotze Lafuke Rabbi Yaakov. Okay, which means they're arguing. Others say that if something's not Nigma Melocha, it's not. Hillel says you're not permitted. He gathers Paris, right? I don't know what the Liktor is to harvest. I mean, he's harvesting. No, but he's gathering them.
It says here he gathers them for the purpose of transporting them from one place to another, just for them to dry. There must be some
But what's likt? So I think there's a mistake. It should say, but it says liktor. What's liktor? Hamami cares. What's liktor? If it would be liktos to dry them out, that means you make cuts in them and the fluids ooze out.
Maybe just gathering.
I don't know whatever liktor means. I don't know. Yeah, that I hear. Okay. Hillel is a minority opinion. He says you're not permitted because it's not Nigma Melocha. That's the reason why. Second. Yeah. Chotzer lafukin Rabbi Yaakov. Chotzer, it's come to argue Rabbi Yaakov did not hamavir teinim b'chatzero liktos. See this? Person brings figs into a courtyard to be drying. They're permitted to eat something inconsequential, and they're exempt. So we're talking about something that's not nigma melocha. Even though it's brought into the courtyard, the halacha is It says it's p'tur min ha'maser. V'tani alo, Rabbi Yaakov mechayiv, Rabbi Yaakov no yechayiv. Rabbi Yosef Yehuda poter. So it's an argument.
Is it regarding Shabbos or is it?
No, it's Shabbos.
He brings it in Erev Shabbos for the purpose of drying.
So that means you're bringing something which is not nigmar mlocha. Of course, it's meant to dry. Could you eat those grapes or those figs on Shabbos? That's our discussion.
So you're changing the status on Shabbos.
It's okay. It's okay. Right? Rabbi Yosef Yehuda poter, he says you poter.
It's okay
Because it's not nigmar mlocha.
no, but
He's not going to fully process it. It was brought in for that, and still it's in the unprocessed state.
so
It's not where he spread it to dry.
no, I'm saying when he brings it in because of the purpose of drying.
Right?
And then in the middle he decides to take a certain part of it and saying, I'm not drying this, I'm going to eat it.
No. Yeah, right. Is he permitted to eat it? Or we say no. It's already tevel. You're not permitted. So we're saying, what's name says, Rabbi Lezer says that since it's not in nigmar mlachta, it's not affected.
But he's making it nigmar mlachta.
No, he's not. But eating is not nigmar mlachta. These figs are meant to be cut open and to be dried.
To dry.
When you take something, it's not meant. You're snacking on something that was originally set aside for drying, right? Even though it's Shabbos, so we see clearly, according to what's his name? No, according to Rabbi Yosef Yehuda, you potter. According to Rabbi Yaakov, you chayiv. Yeah, right.
You can't eat it on Shabbos anyway.
You what?
You can't eat it on Shabbos anyway.
Right. Okay. Truma lafukim Rabbi Lezer. Truma comes to argue Rabbi Lezer. Non perish etormu actually merlachnu. You take truma. We had an opinion for it. If you take truma, you have to take meiser afterwards. Even something that's not nigmar mlocha, right? Because truma sets it as if it's something which already is fully processed, even though he told something that wasn't fully processed. Rabbi Lezer oser lechom in aray. Rabbi Lezer says you're not permitted to eat aray. Meaning that's enough. Chom matirin. So according to Chacham, and we rule that way, that if you have something that's not fully processed, you take truma. After you take truma, you're permitted to eat now something which is not substantial from that what's left. Right? He didn't take meiser. He can eat. According to Rabbi Lezer, you can't, but according to Chacham, you can. A person takes taim from amoritz, so we have to suspect that meiser wasn't taken. The mokom sherov b'nei adam dorsin, where people they trample on it to what's them to press. Ochem in aroi masrin demai. They take meiser demai. Shema minu tlas. We learn three things from this. Shema minu mekach enu chavas. When you sell something, that doesn't set it to be something substantial. El dov sh'nigmar mlach. It's only something which is fully processed. Shema minu rov amei oretz masrin. That the majority of the poor of Aberatzim, they do take meiser. Ushma minu ma'asin demai me'am oretz. Afil dov sh'lo nigmar mlachto. Lafuk mihod nan to argue with this. Hamachot peiros im chavero. Somebody that barters fruits with his fellow. Zel lecho v'zel lecho. You're going to barter apples for oranges, okay? So one takes the apples, the other one takes the oranges. Zel liktos, zel liktos, and they both can cause to dry. Zel lecho v'zel liktos, chayev. If the omer lecho chayev, liktos poter. Why? Lecho chayev zeshtay lecho chayev today gmar melocho. Yeah, that's good. Zelik zelik so zelecho zelecho chayiv. Yeah. If you omer lecho chayiv, Litzos potter. Means you potter if you eat it before it dries. Hajloch hamei v'hajlon, hajloch hamei v'hajlon, hajloch hamei v'hajlon. Good.
Barter is a gift.
No, that's what I'm saying. The mekach, if you're bartering, that means you're giving it value to sell. So maybe that would be enough to give it a special value that you have to tithe it. We're saying it doesn't. Mekach does not give it that special value.
It's a trading purpose.
So you say something you trade, evidently you're trading something of value. Otherwise you wouldn't trade it. In bartering, you wouldn't barter it. No, you don't barter a crumb for something else, because a crumb is not valued by the person. So if you do value it, that gives it its chashivus. So maybe that, once you give it its chashivus, you have to tithe it. He says, no, you don't have to tithe it. No, because it's not nigmar. Because it's not nigmar melocha. It's not fully processed. Hajloch maybe hajlon, hajloch maybe hajlon, hajloch maybe hajlon. Mishil and Peres, Derech Aruba, B'yom to be continued.